Welcome to Join the Conversation. Today is the 23rd of July, 2026, and I'm excited that you are here. I'm 𝗝cie_𝗶𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗏𝗄. I'm a Master Transformation Coach, also an NLP practitioner and a metallurgical engineer. So Join the Conversation is where I interview women from all walks of life. They share their nuggets and their wisdom, because all of us in life, we go through challenges, but those challenges help us to level up and to live our lives much better. And today, throughout the month of July, I've been having amazing women who've been sharing their wisdom. And even this evening, I'm so excited to have Hlengiwe with us. And if you'll be listening to this as a replay, type replay. And you're welcome to ask our guest any questions as well. And if you come later, just type your question and she'll come back and answer your question. So we're excited. So do tag your friends to come through, send them WhatsApps and say she's starting. We're going to be empowered today. And I'm so excited. And yeah, I'll share how I met her as we continue anyway. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Hlengiwe Faku. So welcome, Hlengiwe. I'm so excited you're part of this. Join the conversation.
Thank you so much, Coach Mashudu. It's such a privilege and honor to be here and joining the conversation, and hoping that by the end of the conversation, one would have empowered other ladies out there. Because I am here today because I was empowered as well, and I was empowered by ladies, and one of the ladies is you, and I am just so honored. I really am honored to be here, and thank you so much for creating such spaces for us to share the nuggets and to share real experiences of our lives, and and hopefully that by the end of this session, or by the end of the whole project of our Join Conversation, you would have at least saved one person or changed one person's life. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Already she has transformed you guys. So you see, you're in for it. Thank you. My question is, who are you and what do you do?
Hlengi is fondly known by everyone. Hlengi is a girl that comes from Soweto. I'm married, and I've got two beautiful children. And this afternoon, when you're in interviewing Nomhle, Ngubane. And I'm like, hey, this is my sister, because that's my maiden surname, Ngubane. So I was quite chuffed. I'm like, okay, the Ngubane sisters are holding it down today. And yeah, so that's who I am. On a lighter side, I am a business psychologist. I am a health and well-being coach, a leadership coach, and I love what I do. Working with people, helping organizations. That's what I do. But when you remove the titles, I am literally a woman that is still going through life. That went through uncertainty, that went through a journey of finding oneself, and went through a journey of healing. And healing is not a destination, it is a journey. And so that's basically who I am, as a Hlengiwe. And I always strive to empower, ladies like me, because I understand the journey that one can take, especially if you are a mother, you're a wife, you are a leader at work, you're a leader at home. We tend to carry so much with us. So that's why I'm just so passionate about what I do, because I really mainly work with ladies, empower ladies.
Thank you so much for your intro. because now I know you. I want to take you a little bit back. There might be someone who's stuck in the same situation where you have been, and you're just a role model of saying things can change. Can you tell them what you used to do and that small transition? I know it wasn't part of the discussions, but as I'm listening to you, I believe there might be someone who's listening to this, and I'm also getting goosebumps. It needs to be said, who needs to, because there's so much that is happening in our country at the moment in the world. There might be that person, they don't want to wake up, they've got kids, and they're going like, what will I do? And I just read yesterday when I was driving from Joburg, the organization that I used to work for previously, they're busy retrenching in Limpopo DPS. And someone say, I've been an engineer for 30 years. What do I do after 30 years? So I believe we need to have that conversation today as well. So tag your friends, ladies, or whoever is listening, tag, they need to hear this. It's, yeah, you love what she's going to share.
Thank you so much. And it is actually so true. So my background is I've been in corporate environment, corporate SA for about 18 years. And I left corporate in 2019. And during the tenure of me being in the corporate space, it was amazing. I learned a lot. I grew. There's opportunity for me to make changes, but it got to a point where my health was starting to suffer, and it's one of the messages that I'd like to speak about today because I was striving to be perfect, and that cost me quite a lot. I became very, very sick. I had migraines, so constant migraines all the time, which usually would paralyze me. I would not be able to use maybe half the side of my body. And I remember at one point I even thought that probably I had stroke or not, but I thank the Lord. It was not that, and that there was just quite a lot, and it cost me the relationships that I had with my family, with my children, and my children at the time they were very young, and I was not present. I was there, but I was not present. I was forever tired. I was forever sick. And through the whole process, I found a way, like everyone would, you'll find a way to numb or to get rid of the pain, and I ended up, I guess this is a story that I've never really told publicly, but I ended up numbing and drinking alcohol and, taking sleeping tablets and, so that it just takes away the pain that I had. And with that, it never became better, because perfectionism, when it shows itself in different ways. It shows itself through anxiety. It shows itself through worry. It shows itself through, thinking that you're not good enough. And that's how I felt. Like, no, I'm not good enough. I am not showing the way I'm supposed to show up. I am not speaking the way I'm supposed to speak, and it was such a roller coaster where perfectionism became a stressor and then it became burnout. And eventually I burnt out. And when you're at the point of burning out, it takes a while for you to heal. Yes, you can heal from burnout, but it takes a while to heal. So came a time, 2019, just before COVID happened, and there was a promise. There was a family move that needed to happen, and that's why I literally left. But my body was exhausted, my mind was exhausted, everything of mine was exhausted, and I took the time out, and that is when my healing journey started. And when my healing journey started, that is when I then started to discover who I am without the titles, because it's amazing when you are in the workspace, when you're in a corporate, you associate yourself with the title. and for the first time in my life, I did not have that title, that defined who I am. And that's where the dream came about, and I started going into coaching. I did life coaching, and then from there on. So well-being has always been something that I've always been passionate about. Wellness has always been something that I was passionate about. At work, everyone will ask me and say, "Hlengi, can I eat this? Should I eat like this? Should I do that?" Because I was just so in love with wellness, with health, with fitness. I was a gym buddy. I think those days were called gym buddy. So I was just that girl. So the wellness world was around me, and from where I come from, as well, I'm from the beauty industry. So wellness is a big thing. How you look, how you feel. So for me, it was just so natural for me to become a health and wellness coach. And I studied through Health Coaching Academy, which is amazing. It's based in the UK. And I'm currently the ambassador as well, and just spreading the word about wellness, how important wellness is. And yeah, that has been my journey. And it actually has never stopped because I just love to see people well. And then I went into business psychology, where I really wanted to bring in the psychology, understanding the human study, the science behind it, why people think the way they think, why they behave the way they behave. And then I brought in the business part of it because that is very important when you are in a work environment. And as leaders, when we are in a work environment, it's important for us to understand our people. Why do they behave the way they behave? Sometimes as you'll say that the person is not performing, and you start performance managing them. But it's important for us to dip down and really understand what is the psychology behind it. Why are they behaving the way they are behaving? What is the thought process behind it? And I know as managers, as leaders, you may not have the time to do that. And that is where I come in, because I come in then from an evidence perspective, from a theory, from a perspective, and from a lived experience, because I've lived the experience and I've been in that corporate environment, and I know how it feels like, when people probably do not understand what you're going through. All that they're looking for, it is just answers and performance and performance and performance. And that's how I ended up being here.
Wow, wow, wow. We're in a class, guys. I trust you're listening. And she just mentioned that whatever she speaks about, she has been through. Because when we do this work, people want to connect with someone who's been there rather than just being a tick box exercise. And I know she's very passionate about her work. My further question before I ask, to those who just joined us, just say hi so that I know who's here. And if you've got any questions or you would like to greet my guests, say hello, engage with us. My next question is, let's say there's someone who's in a transition of jumping ship, not jumping ship per se, is they would like to move, maybe to go to business or change their career, or and do something different. What would you say to them? Where is the start? What can they do?
I think what is important is understanding your why. Why are you wanting to jump ship? Because when you understand your why, that is what's going to keep you constant. That is one thing that is going to, I don't want to use motivate you, but that is one thing that is going to make you, that's going to drive you to do what you need to do because of your why. Because if you're going to just jump ship for the sake of saying my friend is jumping ship, or um, I'm stressed, or whatever that may be. What if you don't have stress? What if your friend, it doesn't work out for them, because you followed them? So it's important to understand my why. Why am I doing this? So why am I leaving from point A to point B? It could be a situation to say that I'm leaving because, one, I find that there's so much potential for me, one, to go out there and serve. And that is one of my whys, was that I want to serve people, in a capacity that that I know, that I've lived in. I want to help them. So for me, no matter what happens, if I don't don't feel like waking up in the morning, if I don't feel like to put that post out there, if I don't feel like working on a program, then I remember my why. My why is that I want to serve the people who were just like me, who I understand the situation. Because if I do not do that, then if I don't stand up to my why, then I'm letting go of the people. I'm letting the people down because of that. So my why is something that is very, very important, that drives me, even if I don't want to, because there are times where you actually don't want to, to wake up. There are times where you feel like, is it really worth it? But if you remember why you're doing it, then that is going to be your driver in ensuring that you keep consistency, because that's another thing that's very important. Because if you think that if you want to transition from corporate or from your work and come in becoming an entrepreneur, and you think that you're going to work your own hours, well, I've got another story to tell you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So your why is very important.
Yes, your why is very important. Thank you so much for that. I've got more questions, and I think they come from what you're sharing. And to those who are also listening, so do send your questions. I'll ask her as well. They'll pop up on my screen. My next question is, how do you transition between business psychology and being a coach? And how do you merge? Let's say there's someone, your typical client, how will they know that they need you? What will they be going through as an organization for them to say, I need Hlengiwe's services?
Okay. So, for example, as a business psychologist, like I said, it is a connection between business and psychology. And one thing that I always say is that a organization will not be able to succeed with systems only. You need people. You can have the most amazing systems, and you can have the most, like today, we are so exposed to AI, but AI still needs a human being, to prompt it. And where I then come in is I come in where there is team misalignment, where there is performance, there's an impact on performance. I come in where there is, from an HR perspective, where they look and they say, you know what, there's just been so much absenteeism at the office, and it's affecting productivity. That's where I come in. And they look at, for example, relationships. There's one thing that we forget, that in organizations, relationships are so important, to make sure that the system work. So in a nutshell, I come in to look at the ecosystem within the organization, to make sure that everything is working in alignment, that each and every ring of a chain it is working together to ensure, because at the end of the day, the objective of why we have organization is to ensure that we meet our vision. So what does a vision look like? I always actually even help with regards to ensure that the individuals within the organization, as well the teams, that their well-being is well looked after. And so I then kind of bringing my health and wellness coaching into the picture to ensure that the leaders are healthy. And one of the programs that I have, I call them asking a question to say, how healthy are you as a leader? And when I speak about how healthy are you as a leader, I'm not talking about the health in your plate, what you are eating, if you're eating the seven colors that we eat on a Sunday, But I'm asking you to say, how well nourished are you, from your mind, your emotions, your relationships, both at work, both at home. I look at all of that and see how well nourished are you. And another thing that we tend to lack as well is like your spirituality. What is your relationship like with God? What is your relationship like with whoever that you believe in, because all of these things, they form a whole person. So we cannot just focus on, I just don't focus on just the one thing to say I'm focusing on mindset, and or I'm focusing on well-being, or I'm focusing on leadership. I focus on all three, and obviously looking at the wholeness of the person. I've got a framework that is called the Wholeness Nutrition Framework. And like I say, nutrition is not only about what we eat. I see a lot of leaders that are eating well. Their plates are beautiful. They eat well. They drink their water. They do that. But when you then, but they're not leading well. So they eat well, but they are not well. And that is where then I come in, and I just bring that all together. So that is from a business psychology type of way. I've mixed in with health and wellness coaching. Health and wellness coaching is where I look at coaching as a whole. Is really is we look at the behaviors, so behavioral change, and we look at how do we then provide tools for an individual, to live in a healthier way, because that's the whole idea, to really for us to be better versions of ourselves and be healthier. I'll make an example in the health and wellness program that I have is emphasize on eating the blood sugar way to balance your blood sugar. And a simple thing, for example, I'll give you one I say, and this is a tip for everyone that is out there, is that make sure that each and every meal that you eat, there's a protein. So we don't just have a slice of bread with butter and tea and then you eat. I know we grew up eating like that, but make sure if you're going to have a slice of bread or a slice of toast, make sure that you couple with it with protein. So it could be mince, it could be that, so that would be part of the health and wellness side of it, but they interchange in that way. So if you want to change your habits, if you want to move from where you're at, then you come to me, and then we just work out, and yeah, then we get you to where you need to be.
Wow, thank you. So she provides a holistic approach. I'm
Yes.
happy with that. Yes, and I loved how you explain it, because some people could like, nah, I don't do that. I won't look at my spirituality, but don't you pray? Don't you meditate? So, and also spirituality depends on what is it? What is it that ground you as well? Thank you for sharing that. My
Yes.
next question is, what are the lessons you learned from the past 6 months? It has been hectic for everyone in the world. For you,
Sure.
what are the nuggets that you can share with us? And before you do that, there's a comment from Coach Patience, so another coach is listening through YouTube. She said we need people everywhere, as you mentioned, that we cannot run businesses without people. Yes.
No, not at all. And thank you so much, Patience, for that. It's very important. People are a very integral part of our lives, in our communities, at work, and they're the most important. I don't want to call it commodity, but in everything. And these days, you do see businesses where they're really pushing on bottom line and bottom line. And yes, we know that is very important. But when you take care of your people will make sure that you get to that bottom line, and you'll get to that bottom line being healthy. So that is quite important. Thank you so much, Patience, for that comment. Coach, you asked me about what I've learned for the past 6 months. Ah, resilience. Being resilient. And not falling into a trap of finding yourself in a stressful way. We've seen a lot. I think this year we've really seen a lot of ups and down economy, the news, around the world. There's just been a lot, and what I've learned is to focus and be grounded in one, on who I am, and be grounded in my beliefs and understand that circumstance will always be around, but I need to stay where I am. So I focus on the circle, what I can control. Focus on what I can control. And yes, whatever that is happening, the circle of influence, because we've got what we call, I think is it an emotional intelligence, but it is in the space where you've got the circle of influence and you've got the circle of control. So I learned to focus on what I can control, firstly, and secondly, focus on what my goal is, what my objective is. When you find yourself in an environment that we're in, and if you're an entrepreneur, you want to see and look and see what's the trend. Oh, Coach Mashood is doing this, let me do that. Oh, let me do that. And that can really throw you out. So this season, I really learned to put my head down, focus on what I have in front of me, and and really work at that. And as I speak at that, is that sometimes is we want to go out there and look for something else, and whilst you've got exactly what you need right here with you. And I'm thinking about a story of Moses, when God called him and said to him, go and free my people, in Egypt. But Moses was like, hey, but I'm not ready. I don't have this. I cannot speak well, and all of that. And all God said, that all that you need, you've got it in your hand. So, and that has stayed with me, because every time when I'm tempted to go out and look, I always think and say, what is it that I have in my hand? And I think that would be a question for everyone to say, before you even try and go out there and try and find something, first do a reflection within your environment, within yourself, and say, what is it that I have in my hand? Because if we are going to focus on what the news are, if we're going to focus on what is happening out there, you know what, we are creating such a chaotic mind and such a chaotic disaster around you. So always reflect, just go back and say, what is it that I'm having in my hand, and use that. Because again, is look at one thing that I was thinking about is that, I'm here today because of the challenges that I had, and I took my pain and I turned them into my purpose. And that is why is I love what I do so much. And I love because I speak with so much conviction, because I know and I've been there. So the pain that I went through is exactly what I'm using today to as my purpose. So I'll say that. Thank you.
Turn your pain into purpose. I trust there are so many who are going through the most, and this will be maybe the time to start writing your book as well. So turn your purpose, turn your pain into purpose, and you feel much better because you don't have to pretend to say this and this. You just become yourself. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. My further question is, let's say I'd like you to speak to the 12-year-old you. What would you tell her today?
Sure. I would tell her that you're loved, that you're protected, and that you can do anything and everything that you've ever imagined. I will tell her, dream big. I will tell her, always have the childlike faith. Go after what you believe in. Sure. Yeah, and just tell her that she's amazing. No matter she's feeling lonely, no matter that she's feeling like she is lost, but she's not. The God that is out there is with you. Yeah, no, you're not alone. You're not alone. Yes, that's what I'll tell her.
Thank you for sharing. And that 12-year-old is some of you are listening who are in despair, who are lost. I know I caught her off guard, but I feel like there's something that she can share. Maybe there's someone who really needed to hear that you are loved, you are protected, have a childlike faith. So you might be going through the most, and that is be that 12-year-old that she's talking to. And this doesn't, it applies to anyone. That's why I say 12-year-old, be a child, because we are kids within. There's that inner child within you who's wounded and who needs help. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. We had it, we felt it, and I know it went to the right place to those who are listening and to those who also listen as a replay. And to those who listen as a replay, tell us, how did it feel to hear that? Because I felt she was not only talking to me, she was speaking to all of us. How did it feel? Okay, let me change the mood now.
No, thank you for that. Sometimes as we think healing, as I said when I started, is that healing it's a journey, it's not a destination. And me speaking to my 12-year-old, like I am looking at her and she's standing there at the corner, and it has, as much as it seemed like I was just speaking, but something has been released in me, which I was not aware of. So may we not be scared of going through the process of healing, and may we not look for the quick fixes. And because a quick fix is really, it's like you're putting a bandage over a wound, and sometimes healing is really about going deep and really unraveling what may be there, because sometimes we'll think that we are behaving the way we are behaving, we're doing the things that we're doing because of the stress at work. I'm just making an example, but really that's not it. There's a root cause behind it. And yeah, please try the exercise, the 12-year-old exercise. I needed it. Thank you so much, coach. I really needed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My further question is, you're an entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur. We're forever busy. Our mind is forever busy. How do you reset? How do you calm yourself?
Sure. So the biggest for me is I start my day with prayer, and I start my day reading the Bible. These days I've been really, really focusing. I've been doing a Bible study, which is amazing, and I'm just discovering God in such an amazing way, and so that grounds me a lot. I make sure in the morning before anything, I don't touch my phone. I don't do anything, like, because I know how I am. I react to news. I react, not in a great way. So that for me is the most important thing. And I love going to the gym. I always say that I'm not going for looks anymore to the gym, but it is my therapy. Because it's, when your body is working perfectly, you're fine. And I was thinking the other day, I was actually speaking to a client yesterday to say that, if you don't have health, then you don't have anything. When someone is lying there in a hospital not feeling well, they're feeling very helpless. So for me, going to the gym is important. They say your health is your wealth, and that's why I take care of it. Another thing that coach, I love my tea. Ah, I'm such a tea lover. So I love tea, and I make sure that there's a routine or a ritual that I do. My tea, I need to drink it in a cup and saucer, type of thing, and I need to sit down, and that's the way I unwind, and and just to kind of get me relaxed. I love reading. I love reading different books, learning and all of that. So if you don't find me drinking my tea. I've got a book. I just love that, and I love walking. So every Saturday I do go to a park run just to be outside. So I really love those type of things. They really do relax me a lot.
Where's the tea? I was looking for the cup. Where is it?
I
Is it
just had it before we started. I just had it before we started. No, my tea, and right now I'm experimenting with so many like green teas. I was so used to having just the normal green tea, and now I'm experimenting with chasteberry. I'm experimenting, I think it's peppermint, spearmint, and I've just gotten another tea. It's called soursop. Can please everyone just get themselves some soursop, and yeah, no, you will come back and tell me how it makes you feel. So I'm really much of an experimenter with teas. I love tea. So if I come and visit you, please make me a cup of tea.
So I'll also send you my tea blends that I make. I used to make the goddess, the herbal. Now I'm doing the blossom within. So it has got rosehip, it's got nestle. It's quite amazing. Yeah. So I'll make sure you get a pack. I'll make sure you get.
Please, please, please.
Yeah.
And hibiscus. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
My next question is a bit tricky as well. We've got a working mom who's got a strange relationship with the kids. What would you say? Today she says, I've done it all. I don't know. What can I do? What is the first thing that she can do? What would you say?
As women, I think naturally we carry a lot, and I think it's just in us. We want to be the fixer, we want to be the builder, we want to be a nurturer, and by birth we are nurturers as women. But what I find with us is that it is so difficult for us to ask for help. And asking for help, firstly, it is admitting that I am carrying a lot. I am not coping. Because it starts with that, admitting and say, you know what, I am actually not coping. And then secondly, ask for help. And what does help look like? If at home you've got your husband, you've got your partner, ask them to help you out, with some of the things. Delegate and give some responsibilities out. If not, I know that our family structures are a bit different, but all the times, like I'll make an example with me. If I feel that I'm just overwhelmed, I ship my kids to my mom, and grandma to be there. And it's me saying, I need help. I need time alone. And if you're able to, it's important to take time out for yourself. Hence, then there is things like retreat. I know Coach Mashudu does amazing retreats. You can go to retreats. You can go out and go and sit outside in the sun. Some of the things they don't have to cost you money. But what I really feel, there's those two things. One, admit to yourself that I'm not coping. And secondly, is ask for help. And there's support everywhere. And help can look in different ways. You can get help through coaching. You can get help, through mentorship as to how I as a mother, as a woman, how do I do this? On the 29th of August, I formed a partnership with a fellow coach, and we will be having what we call, actually, I've got it here. Let me just get the name right so that I don't say the wrong thing. The woman behind the role. So that's what we're calling the workshop, the woman behind the role. Who are you beneath everything you carry? So we recognize that as women, we carry a lot. But at the end of it is like, who are you? So in this masterclass will definitely be speaking to your identity, because some of us we lose our identity. You know, if I had to ask you and say, who are you? You know, except for the titles and identity, then you go like, you know what, I'm not sure. So that's what we're going to speak here about, because we recognize that as ladies, we carry a lot, and it's in our nature. You know, we want to be fixers, we want to be doctors, we want to be mothers, we want to be everything. But you know what, it's so impossible, because it leaves us exhausted, and it leaves us in a state of burnout. And when you reach the state of burnout, you are like, actually, I don't want to do anything anymore. You know, I've had enough. And we don't want you to get to that point. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you for sharing that. I trust someone listened to that and you got the advice. Since you're telling us what you are planning, how do one reach out to you? There's someone who's excited, they want to work with you. Maybe there's an organization that wants to work with your organization. How do they reach out?
Okay, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as 𝗍𝗍 Faku. And my company name is 𝗖cie Rising. So you can find us there, or you can go to the website www.𝗖cie_rising.com. And when you go into the website, it's going to give you a form that you can complete and say, this is what you're looking for, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So that's where you can reach us or reach me.
Yes, that is where you can reach her. And also, if you like to go to a retreat, because you're not feeling okay. I'm running retreats in August and also September. So do reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, also on Facebook, and also our page Enabler Solutions. So it's time to reset. 2026 has been hectic. And I'm from another retreat which was quite amazing in Gauteng. So do reach out to us.
Okay.
My next, I'll say this is almost the final question, is what is the key message you have for everyone who's listening, or maybe there's a young person, there's an older person. This is the message that needs to hit home to someone today.
So I just wanted to speak around the difference between what excellence is and what perfectionism is. Most of us, we fall under perfectionism in saying, and I used to have that label to say, I mean, I'm a perfectionist. You know, things need to be perfect. And that is a wrong way of thinking. And Coach Mashudu is laughing, because I remember, like, before I could do anything, I wanted to make sure that it's perfect and be like, get it out there, you'll fix it later. You know, and perfectionism, it will cost you a lot. It will cost you opportunities. It will cost you your health. You know, it will cost you a lot. You know, and perfectionism is fear. When you think about it, you know, because you hide behind the fact that, no, I have to wait until it's fine, it's perfect. But when is that going to happen? Because it will never, you know, it will never happen. So my final words would be, strive for excellence. And what does excellence look like? Excellence gives you room to grow. It gives you, when you are striving for excellence, it gives you peace, because of there's no pressure, you know, to perform for anyone. And excellent, you know, it gives you progress. You progress in your life because you're striving just for excellence. So to the young people out there, you know what, dream big, dream big, start small, but most of all, just start. And actually, this is not only for the young people, but it is for everyone. You know, let's dream big. Let's dream big. You know, and start small though, and make sure that you start, because that's where the important thing. Because for you to wait until you're ready, you'll never get it done. because you'll never feel ready. But you know what? Start where you are. Start where you are with what you have. And that will be my closing.
Thank you so much. I see the start where you are. Big is a theme with the ladies today. Even Nontle earlier spoke about just start somewhere. So it's a Manguvane thing today. So we are so excited that we're able to host both of you. And I'm so excited. To those who are listening, or to those who will be listening to this, as a really do send questions, and we trust that we empowered, because these sessions are about empowering as well. Some people don't have the opportunity to read or to go to a coach or to a therapist. We trust that whatever you learn today, it will help you to think differently, and you're not the same, because our role is to transform your mind as well. With that being said, Coach, anything else you want to share as we close?
I just want you to, and I'm hammering on perfectionism because it's one of the cognitive distortions that kept me from doing what I needed to do. And it is, I see people every single day, not wanting to do things because they think they don't have it together. So today, and if I may say, I am giving you permission, and please accept the permission. Just do it. Just do it. And sometimes we struggle with people pleasing, and in the world that we live in, social media, there's social media, and there is the whole pressure of using filters to be perfect and all of that, so the world is creating this image, and that is why we find ourselves in a situation of wanting to not do things, or wanting to do them at a certain time, and wanting, then what that happens is then you feel like you're left behind, you're not enough, and all of that. So, even the Bible says that we must not conform to the things of this world, and we must renew our minds. So let's just focus. Let us just focus and say that I am not a perfection. So today you are telling yourself, I am not a perfectionist. I am striving for excellence.
Today, we're striving for excellence. And someone says, Candice says she knows you. And Zianda says, what is the definition of excellence? Because the two words are often used simultaneously and can be difficult separating the two ideas.
Yes. So the difference, like I say, so when you are striving for perfectionism, it stems from fear, wanting to not do the thing because you think you're not good enough. It brings about anxiety. So everything just stems around fear. And I think this is an acronym that is used everywhere. That says fear. It is false evidence appearing real. Yes, I think I got it right. Yes, I got it real. So that is what perfectionism is all about. And perfectionism is about, it keeps you imprisoned. When you are striving for perfectionism, you never move forward because you're waiting for the moment to say, it has to be perfect. So that is what it is. So whilst on the other end, excellent is about growth. What it says excellent will say to me, to you, say that I can do this, and I will work towards, and I'm willing to learn. That is excellence. Whilst perfectionism is going to tell you, no, I am not good enough and I'm not going to do it. So those are the two differences.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I'm going to expand as well in terms of my question, because it seems like perfectionism is something that we need to talk about. So someone is a perfectionist. What do they do? What would you advise them? What are the tools, or what are the things that they can start doing? They are aware, because healing is, and I need to highlight this. We always say healing is a journey, and our guest, she said she started in 2019, that journey. And where are we now? In 2026, and she's still continuing, because some people come to coaches and they expect immediate results, and that is impossible. That is impossible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I started to say, that healing is a journey, and every single day we go through healing. Like as we're having a conversation today, I was not expecting it, but I spoke to the 12-year-old me, and I never thought that there's a certain blockage that was there. And I didn't think that is probably a certain limiting belief that is there that was sitting with the 12-year-old. So we need to be very much open into healing and going through the process of healing. So that is very, very important. So it doesn't matter. It can take you forever. Just as long as you're still here, the healing needs to take place. And again, is we're living in an environment or in a world that is full of trauma. And trauma does not have to be something that happens to you physically, but things that we see around us, around the world. For example, we've just gone through the whole thing now, the March on March, for example. So many people, families were torn apart. People lost, there was a lot, and that is trauma. And when we sit and we look at it, it's like there's something that tears in your heart. That is part of that is part of trauma. And can you imagine, it was last month, so which means you need to deal with it. Today I was actually watching, I came across some feed on social media, and they were showing what happened in Nigeria. A whole family was killed. That is trauma on itself. So you cannot just say that then you leave it like that, because even now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, sure, the family and so on. So that would be part of healing that needs to happen. And you asked the question around if you are a perfectionism. The first thing is saying that, what I am, like, I'll make an example with me. I used to tell myself I'm a perfectionism. And I always had this statement, and I was very proud of it, to say that if you can't do it perfect, I will do it myself. And I used to say it very, very proud. And when I look at it today, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it was such a cognitive distortion. And cognitive distortion, what it literally means is that you've got thoughts that are negative, you've got thoughts, that are not serving you. So firstly is recognizing that by being a perfectionist, you're not doing yourself any favor. And secondly, you then need to look at your mindset, because when you are sitting being a perfectionism, you've got a fixed mindset. And that is where you'll find people say that I've always done this way. This is who I am, not wanting to change. So you need to want to change, because that is not the way to do things. And in order for you to know that you need to change, look around your life and tell me, how does your life look like? Do you see progress? Do you have peace in your life? If you've got anxiety, then you need to let go of it. We need to let go of perfectionism. If you're feeling sometimes that you're a bit stagnant, look at perfectionism, because that may be one of the things that is stopping you in your tracks. So perfectionism, it is not a good thing to carry. So drop that hat of perfectionism and embrace excellence, because excellence is going to require you to learn, is going to require you to grow, is going to give you the peace that you need.
So for you to have peace, drop perfectionism and work on being excellent. And even when you get marks, they'll say, when you get 100%, excellent. So get to that. Thank you so much, Coach. I enjoyed this conversation, and I trust everyone who has joined us. And I'd like you to connect with Coach Patience as well. I'll give you her details. So you'll click. So
Okay.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who has tuned in wherever you are, from LinkedIn, from YouTube, and from Facebook. We're grateful for this opportunity, and also say goodbye to my guests so that she can see you're engaging. And if you'd still like to be part of these discussions, and today something was planted and say, no, I need to share my story as well. So do send me a message. You can also send to my number 0605086165, or on all my social media links. You can find me there, because this is a build up for Women's Month. We need to empower each other. We need to move away from the pull hair down syndrome, and then we are pulling hair up syndrome. That is what we need to work towards, and teaching her to feel safe. When we heal our perfectionism, you feel your nervous system, you feel safe, you feel free, and you become creative, because that is what we need to do, because we are creators as women. With that being said, thank you so much, Coach. Anything else as we say our goodbyes?
No, I just want to say thank you so much, really, for this platform. And for the past 2 days, I was in this amazing conference, and it was around ladies. It's actually, you might know the organization, Women in Mining, South Africa. And one of the things that they spoke around, which came up a lot, was around collaboration. As women, like you just spoke about, the pull me down syndrome and all, it's actually quite big. But what I realized when I was there was that there was just so much collaboration, there was just so much unity, because we are working towards one goal, and we all form a different part of the puzzle, to make a bigger picture. And as women, we are nurturers, and as we are nurturers, we're not only meant to only nurture our families, but we are meant to nurture the community, and to nurture the nations. So may we all come together, even in our different fears. We not only don't have to come together as coaches, I could be a coach, someone else can come through as something different, and all of that. So let's just work together in that sense, to build our nation. So that would be my biggest thing. Like, let's collaborate in as much as possible in our communities, at home, everywhere, in the businesses and all of that, because we grew up, we know in our families that if there is a wedding, there's collaboration. Everyone comes through with the pots, with with all of that, and we all make this beautiful meal that could be enjoyed by everyone. So may we take that, and bring it into our different areas of our lives, either in leadership, at work. Let's just remember of that, when there is something happening at home, everyone, will bring a knife, will bring this, will bring that. That is collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for collaborating with me on Join the Conversation. I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone. This is our goodbye, so I will continue during the weekend. So tomorrow we don't have session, but Saturday this weekend is going to be busy, so you'll be chilling. Bring your cup of tea. You can contact Hlengiwe to find out which is the latest trend in terms of teas, and then she can share with you as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Coach. Bye-bye.
Bye.